I remember that Monday morning so clearly, the kind of crisp fall day in Madison, Wisconsin that usually fills me with a sense of calm. But that day, my stomach was in knots. Mark had left for another one of his business trips, a phrase that had become synonymous with extended Gulf vacation with his buddies and who knows what else. He'd barely said goodbye to Lily and Ben, just a quick pat on their heads as they were eating their Cheerios, before breezing out the door with his duffel bag. "Be back by Friday, hun," he'd called, his voice already fading as he headed for his car. He didn't wait for a reply, and honestly, I didn't have one, because this time, Friday wasn't going to matter. I watched him pull out of the driveway, a strange mix of dread and fierce resolve churning inside me. As soon as his car was out of sight, I walked straight to the small, dusty corner of our attic. Beneath a stack of old board games, I pulled out an old laptop, a relic from my college days at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, that I'd kept for this exact purpose. It wasn't connected to our home network, and it held years of meticulously organized files, folders within folders, financials, legal docs, custody plan, evidence. Sounds cold, I know, but when you spend years feeling like a ghost in your own home, you start planning your escape. The digital paper trail was exhaustive. Screenshots of his lavish golf club expenses that never quite added up with his claimed income. Texts he'd accidentally left open on his iPad from women he called associates. The worst, though, were the calendars. So many empty spots where he should have been at Lily's soccer games or Ben's school play at West Madison Elementary. Instead, they were marked with client dinner or golf tournament, which I knew, deep down, meant something else entirely. I pulled out my phone and dialed Emily's number. Emily, my best friend since high school, was the only one who truly knew the depth of what I'd been enduring. She'd seen it all. The subtle put-downs, the emotional distance, the slow erosion of our marriage into something unrecognizable. She answered on the second ring, her voice instantly warm. "He's gone, Em," I said, my voice steady, betraying none of the tremor I felt inside. "It's time then," she replied, her tone firm and supportive. "I'm on my way. I've got that folder we talked about." Emily arrived an hour later, armed with a box of homemade cookies for the kids and a manila envelope for me. Inside were printouts of anonymous tips she'd gathered from shared acquaintances, a fleeting mention of Mark at a resort in Scottsdale, Arizona with someone who was definitely not me. Old emails she'd found through mutual friends showing him making reservations for two at places I'd never heard of. It wasn't much, but it was enough to add to the mountain of neglect and emotional abandonment I already had. While the kids were at school, Emily and I went to work. I sat at my desk, contacting our joint bank, freezing Mark's access to the shared accounts, rerouting direct deposits, and flagging any unusual activity. My lawyer, Mr. Davies from Madison Legal Group, had advised me on this. His voluntary absence, Sarah, especially with this pattern, plays heavily in your favor for primary custody, he'd told me. Emily reminded me that Mark had insisted on putting my name on the house deed when we first bought it, something he'd always bragged about as a sign of his commitment. Funny how that commitment was now working against him. By Sunday afternoon, as I was making dinner, my phone buzzed with an alert. Mark had accidentally enabled iCloud photo sharing with our family account years ago and forgotten to disable it. A new album popped up, Weekend Getaway. My heart hammered as I clicked, and there they were. Photos of him laughing with a woman I didn't know, her arm draped around him, clearly more than a business associate. One photo showed them on a beach in Cancun, Mexico, his arm around his waist, a caption underneath from another person in the group. Finally, Mark's really letting loose. I saved them all, making sure the metadata, dates, times, locations, was intact. Ironclad evidence. The next morning, I called Mr. Davies. "The photos are in," I said, my voice grim. "He told me to send them over immediately, along with the other files. He'd arranged for a notary, Miss Chen from Midwest Notary Services, to come to the house that afternoon to finalize the custody petition and the adjustments to the house deed. I also went online and changed the beneficiaries on all our life insurance policies, credit cards, and investments. I locked down every joint account, ensuring he couldn't touch a dime. When Lily and Ben got home from school, Emily was already there. She had replaced the framed wedding photo in the living room with a beautiful Kansas print of the kids and me from last summer's trip to Lake Geneva. Mark's office, which had slowly devolved into a glorified storage room for his golf clubs and discarded papers, was being meticulously packed up. Every item of his was carefully placed into moving boxes, labeled Mark Personal Items. I called our financial advisor, Ms. Rodriguez, at Integrity Wealth Management. "I need to remove Mark's name from the house deed," I explained. "He's voluntarily vacated the premises and I'm filing for full primary custody. All joint accounts are frozen and shared assets are in conditional lockout." She was quiet for a moment, then simply said, "Understood, Sarah. I'll get the paperwork started immediately." By Tuesday morning, I knew Mark would be returning. He'd probably check his phone first thing. Sure enough, an hour later, a text message came through his old family iPad, which was still connected to our Wi-Fi. It was from his bank, a standard notification, access to joint accounts restricted. Then a follow-up from the property management company, notice of primary residency change. I took screenshots of both, adding them to my growing pattern of neglect folder. Later, I saw he had posted a sarcastic photo on Instagram, something about needing a real vacation after a stressful business trip. I screenshotted that too. More evidence of his self-pity and lack of accountability. He pulled into the driveway late Tuesday afternoon. The kids were outside playing catch with Emily. Lily ran up to him. "Daddy, are you just visiting?" she asked, innocently. Mark looked confused, then spotted Emily. He then noticed the locks on the front door were different. When he finally got inside, the house smelled different. Cleaner, lighter, and his golf bag was neatly stacked by the door. His office, which had slowly devolved into a glorified storage room for his golf clubs and discarded papers, was being meticulously packed up. Every item of his was carefully placed into moving boxes labeled Mark Personal Items. The meeting at Mr. Davies' office the following day was quick and brutal. Mark stormed in, red-faced, demanding answers. Mr. Davies, calm and collected, simply laid out the facts. Emily, sitting beside me, held my hand under the table. We presented the photos, the financial records, the documented absences, the neglectful text messages. Mr. Davies then slid the custody petition across the table. "Full primary residence reassignment, Mr. Evans, due to documented negligence, moral abandonment, and your voluntary vacation of the marital home." Mark's face went white. As he stood there, speechless, I reached into my purse and pulled out a single sealed envelope. I handed it to him. He opened it, and his eyes scanned the contents. It was a screenshot of a text message he had sent to one of his golf buddies months ago, a message I'd accidentally seen on his watch. "Sarah's too soft. She'd never leave. She's too dependent. I could neglect the kids for weeks, and she'd still offer to apologize." Beneath it, in my own handwriting, were 5 words. "You left your family for a weekend. I rebuilt it in a week." I turned and walked out, Lily and Ben waiting for me in the car with Emily. We drove away, leaving Mark standing alone in the lawyer's office, the setting sun casting a long shadow behind him. The road ahead felt clear, finally.